He thinks he's an actual real genius. He said his IQ is 2 points above genius. Oh fuck, bro.
Not a bad
So he's like Greek god, kind of, is what you're saying, right? Like him and Greek are kind of similar because Greek thinks he's like the pinnacle of fitness lately. Is actually like Mr. Universe, unironically.
communicator.
Tell him. Fucking tell him then.
It's not a bad communicator. What it is it's an unawareness of the internet type of person. You understand? When you're never on the internet, you don't know. Like, I didn't know people like this existed. You understand? I didn't know they existed. So you can't fathom to even have the
unironically, I already said this. Okay, I already said this. I think TikTok is what broke Greek's brain. I do. Because I know Greek likes TikToks. He was watching him on stream, right? And I think Greek fell down the hole. I think Greek fell down the TikTok rabbit hole of manosphere shit because it tried to feed it to me. But I try to fuck up my algorithms for content because it's fun to me. But I think Greek unironically kept following it. You know, ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy. You know, from fucking James Wood and Family Guy. And then it led him to, oh, I hate, you just aren't working out hard enough, bro. I'm a fucking god, right? Yeah, the algo broke his brain. And I guarantee Andrew Tate was a big part of that because the manosphere algorithm is dominated by this dude for the last like 3 months. The last 2 or 3 months, Andrew Tate has dominated the TikTok like manosphere shit.
Man, and I needed money fast. And I was sitting in my room trying to work out a way to make money because at the time I was only fighting.
What is... Huh? This lady just showed up out of nowhere. This lady just fucking appeared. What the hell?
And I didn't have a fight coming up for a while, and I was.
To be fair, if you don't already kind of agree with some of those things on TikToks, they their own won't make you that unhinged. Like they definitely radicalize people. No, I disagree. I disagree, Grazi. I don't think you have to have any inclination to agree. That's how it works, right? It eases you in slowly, right? Like when you get into the pool, I mean, I'm the kind of person that jumps right in, but like you ease yourself in, right? Usually, or anything, right? First you run 100 meters, then you run 200 meters, and so on and so forth, right? You run more and more as you learn to do it, right? And I think it's the same thing with manosphere thing. I think it's the same with alt-right. I think those people don't have an inclination. I don't. I think they're maybe not blank slates or apolitical. They're products of their environments. I think Andrew Tate has probably been surrounded by like rich men who do like terrible things to women, of course. And he's a dog shit human being, or his dad was, or his mom, someone was, right? Greek, I think, was sad, and that sadness or something, incelliness, I don't know, it could be anything. Sadness brought on by not getting a woman, by losing all this weight, and his life not getting better or something, was the catalyst to create... Yeah, but I mean, there's a reason we aren't here pulled into those pipelines, you know? Yeah, we are. Just different. What do you mean? We're pulled into those pipelines all the time, just differently. We're lucky that we're pulled into the pipeline of reasoning, right? That's it. But we're still like, I fall further to the, like, I grow more dissent for the system that is capitalism in America every day, right? I mean, I've gone as far as I can. I mean, these specific ones, that's because we've gone further than this. Does that make sense? Like, we see this, I see misogyny as a function of a society of massive difference, class difference, racial difference, whatever, it doesn't matter. Things that are manufactured by the need for difference. Does that make sense? So the only reason it doesn't pull me into these pipelines is because, like, I'm already deep down it. I just don't think the reason is because women. Does that make sense? I think the system is because the system makes it like this, right? Or I think that other men, I realize that the problem with women is usually men, right? The problems that and when I say the problem with women is usually men, what I mean is men have created these things or wrote expectations or talked about women and put this expectation of women by men, right? Patriarchy, exactly, right? It's exactly, yep. I think people in the same situation can radicalize the other way. Yeah, I talked about this with like I've talked to communist professors on my stream, right? And the thing we agree with, because I'm the same, is that there is a point when you fall down the rabbit hole and everything. There's a radicalization pipeline. That's what I call it, right? And there's a Y, right? The pipe eventually splits into two. You see a problem, you look for answers to the problem, you research into the problem, and you choose which way you want to go, right? And when I talk about politics or systemic problems or economic problem, it's the Jews, QAnon, right? This is if you're going to be radical, right? Or some sort of alt-right, usually relating back to like, anti-Semitic conspiracy, or it's capitalism. And we have a bunch of historical data and like a bunch of people and a bunch of philosophers who all agree with that, rooted in reality, right? And that's it. And I think the same thing with like we'll call it the patriarchal pipeline, right? You realize that women are different than men for some reason, right? Something is different. You look into why. Whatever, there's one more step, and that step is where you decide whether or not, oh, it's women's fault. Oh, this is a product of society, right? And I think some people, like Andrew Tate, Greek, train wrecks, fall down to it's just women's fault. And us over here, we're radicalized, but we fall down it's the patriarchy. It's a system that men created for women to either look bad or purposely, maybe not even look bad, but to truly not succeed as much as men. We put a bunch of expectations on women that are unfair, right? We do all these things to make sure women are held down. I guess that makes sense. I just kind of mean, do you have a somewhat blank slate state? The society is default misogynist and society is by default misogynist? No, it's not. Society by default is nothing. That's truly a blank slate, right? Society by default is only one thing, and it is inherently a tad bit conservative. And the only reason I say that is because we keep each other in check to maintain safety. That's it. Society is just an expectation of safety. I mean, society is today. I don't think society is today is inherently misogynist. I think the systems facilitate misogyny, right? I think the systems today facilitate misogyny, not that you're born or that society pushes you to be misogynist. I just think there's no other options but to carry out some form of a misogynist system. There's no, and what I mean is like okay, let me think of a good way to explain this. Cops, right? Cops we hate, ACAB, because cops fulfill a racial system, an inequality system, a system of inequality. And by you just working for something and being a man, because we don't general strike, right? We don't do general strikes in America. Men get preferred in the positions we're pushing this patriarchy along, right? Or men, with the fact that we don't share our wages because there's random ass policies, even though that's illegal, right? Creates these wage divides, right? Because we don't talk about our wages, therefore men get rewarded way more. Yeah, cops are state violence, right? There's a bunch of things that I think have been put in place by capitalism for us to perpetuate the patriarchy. I don't think it's a default of society. I don't think anything's a default of society except for maintaining safety. And that's it. Meaning like society functions as a way to keep each other in check. Meaning if I kill someone, I'll probably get killed, right? Because someone will avenge them and then the cycle continues, right? And society is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We know we killed you. Let's find out a way to deal with this so that it doesn't go on it's not an eye for an eye, right? That's it. Yeah, Feems, I agree 100%. Yeah, 1000%. I'll be right back. Tell me if anything crazy is said.
How money works. Like, I was trying to understand how money works, where it comes from. This is where I learned about the Federal Reserve and fractional reserve banking and all these things. So, interesting point he made earlier about, the matrix and its currency and how it's all a lie. I understand all that very well. But that really made me mad because now I understand money's bullshit and I still don't have any. And I was really upset. And I was sitting there with a piece of paper trying to write down my assets and my liabilities and, trying to write down all the geek shit they tell you. And for assets, I wrote down that obviously, you know, I'm strong, but I'm already fighting. I'm brave, but I'm already fighting. I had all
agree,
these
Grazi.
girlfriends, but I thought, well, I can't afford to open a strip club. I'm not going to put them out on the track. I'm not that kind of guy. They're my girls. And then I discovered by accident when I was clicking around on these
Grazi, definitely. I agree that I think more patriarchal system push people more easily towards the right. Yeah, but that's not the fault of them, right? Like, is this weird that I don't blame Greek? Like, I don't blame Greek for falling down the pipeline. I blame Greek for not listening to anybody around him. Does that make sense? I don't blame Greek.
websites. I saw those things in the
Bro, I'm a minute in.
can't afford to open a strip club. I'm not.
Oh, wait. Is this the wrong thing? Oh, it's right here.
The possible world to explain something.
Okay. So this is the second part. Okay, we'll get to this in a minute. Does that make sense? Yeah. It doesn't absolve him of personal responsibility at all. Because bigotry is being told something or proved wrong and continuing to believe it. Right? Does that make sense? Bigotry to me, or misogyny, or any of those, you know, xenophobia, whatever, is all rooted in the idea that, like, you are proved wrong and yet still double down, right? That's versus ignorance, right? Like, for example, like, I grew up surrounded by, like, Nazis and shit like that. Like, I grew up, like, in North Idaho where there's, like, an actual Aryan camp, and not everyone is there as a Nazi, right? There's obviously shitloads of Nazi influence, right? So for me, when I was a kid, I tell this story. This is another story that I like from growing up. I was unironically told, right, to read Mein Kampf and not realize and like ignore that it was written by Hitler because it was a good book, right? Just separate the art from the artist. Unironically, I don't think those people had malicious intent, right? I think that was the way in which Nazis did that, and no one questioned it. Because the moment I questioned it, and someone was like, bro, that was like Hitler's way to justify, you know, anti-Semitism. I instantly was like, yeah, I never read it. I was like, oh yeah, I have no fucking desire to read that. If I had gone, yeah, but bro, separate, you know, the art from the artist, bro, then I'm a bigot, right? Does that make sense? But I wouldn't have blamed old me if I had read it and was like, oh, okay, separate the art from the artist, you know? And no one had told me otherwise. That's kind of like, you can't know, unless you're presented with otherwise or proved otherwise, there is no answer.
Something in a way.
Okay.
Or
maybe he is aware, but he just doesn't give a fuck.
Okay.
Maybe that's the case too.
Then, Trent, if you make a statement and you say women can't drive, okay, it doesn't matter what your audience is, right? It is a blanket statement.
Have you seen Nick Polem's poll? Nick Polem's
Yeah,
poll.
Beams, I get what you're saying,
You know why
man.
that is? Because when I'm
I'm a libertarian.
I make jokes like that. I go, must be a woman driver that made that caused that accident. I make jokes like that. Do I think all women? No, women are better drivers than I am. I'm a shit driver as a man.
These are joke in context, yeah. But if you make a statement that you're
that's
serious,
why I'm asking
alone,
is he just making that generalized kind of stereotypical joke, or is he truly a sexist?
He's laughing, yeah.
That's what I'm asking. I asked him. He said no. He said he's not a sexist. He's making that generalized joke statement.
Okay. Then when you don't have a dialogue with somebody and it's a monologue and you're alone and you go on camera and you say, women can't drive it without no precision, without no saying, oh, exception is exception.
Yeah, I agree. No, P. Diddy, I agree.
You think it's a good thing? You think
No,
you're being
I
a
agree.
good communicator? Women.
But you have to understand, some people will never get the tools to do that because lack of education, Diddley. That is a point of privilege, is that you being able to say, I had a tool of introspection is education, right? I think I think Andrew Tate has all the tools in the world to be educated, and he considers himself a genius. So you know what he is? A bigot and a misogynist because of what he says. He willfully chooses to ignore reality to push hate because he benefits off of it. He's a grifter, right? I mean, that's what we call it, a grifter in politics. He's a grifter.